Okay, it says I am live, so I'm going to trust the technology and assume that I am. So, hello everyone, Rachel, Sandy, Stephanie, Ted, Carl, everyone who's chatted in. Feel free to chat in where you are. It's snowing in upstate New York right now, according to Rachel here. How are things in Wales? Flooding, rainy and flooding Kern River Valley, California. Yes, I've been hearing about that. And Stephanie is one of our COVIDian Sangha members. We just celebrated our third birthday on Friday. We started during the COVIDian pandemic, actually, the COVID pandemic. I don't know if anybody ever called it COVIDian except me. But so that's kind of what we call ourselves. We have a daily meeting at 8 a.m. Pacific time. If you're interested in finding out more about this, I'll send you the link if you write me at this address here. Meanwhile, here we are at the Center for Mindful Living, or the Mindful Living Collective, and it's my pleasure and my privilege to be here again on the third Sunday of the month. I come at least to these practices, and I just give of my time voluntarily. If you are at all interested in, let me get this together here. Yes, I know how to do this. I've done this before. If you're interested in making a donation of any size, here is the donation information at PayPal. So thank you very much for that. It helps to provide scholarships and so forth to individuals for our classes here. Hi, Kelly and Monica, Rachel, good morning, and Sarah and Susan, good morning from Apache Junction, Arizona. All right, and Palos Verdes is cool and cloudy. It's cool and cloudy here too. In South Pasadena and San Marino, where I'm located. And it's in the UK, it's Mother's Day. I didn't know that, Peter. I was just watching a football match between Arsenal and Crystal Palace this morning, a little London derby going on there. Arsenal was leading 4-1 when I left, so I think they're well clear. Okay, so let's get started. It is always my pleasure and privilege to be here on the third Sunday of the month. That's my designated slot. And because I'm here on the third Sunday of every month, I am usually here during a seasonal change. And the seasonal change this time around is spring. So tomorrow will be the spring equinox, where the day and night are theoretically pretty equal to each other. So, in keeping with that, the theme today is equanimity. And equanimity is one of the four Brahma Viharas, or the four immeasurables, if you'd like to call it that, of the Buddha Dharma. Then the other three are loving kindness, compassion, and joy. And these four domains, these four abodes of mindfulness, these are all available to us through these practices. They naturally arise and are naturally cultivated through this style of practice, which is called vipassana, meaning to see things clearly as they are. And equanimity, I think, is one of the interesting ones, and I think one of the more helpful ones in our daily life. I used to think that equanimity meant I'm cool with everything. Whatever happens, I'm cool, I'm chill. And yeah, it's sort of like that. But actually, what I'm describing might be the near enemy of equanimity, and that is indifference, apathy, whatever. That is not exactly equanimity. I was on a retreat in, gosh, I think it was 2001 with Mary Orr, and she gave a wonderful definition of equanimity that I have used ever since. Equanimity is the willingness to move equally into the unpleasant and the pleasant. So I'm willing to go in either direction equally. I'll explore the unpleasant as much as I will explore the pleasant, because we don't really have too much choice sometimes. Situations arise in our lives or in our bodies or in our minds or wherever it might be that we don't want. And rather than pushing away against that with aversion or clinging to some way that I want things to be, with equanimity, I can explore that difficulty a little bit. How does it feel in my body? Are the thoughts that I'm having? What are the emotions that are moving through me? And when we move equally into the unpleasant as with the pleasant, then the unpleasant doesn't bother us so much. It comes, we recognize it, maybe we explore it a bit, uh, and see what it's about. And in doing so, it loses a lot of its power. The power of the difficult comes from our automatic and habitual reactions to it, usually wanting to get rid of it or clinging to wanting it to be some other way. And of course, I'm describing suffering or dukkha from the standpoint of the Buddha Dharma. So, equanimity, the willingness to move equally into either direction. The near enemy of equanimity is apathy or indifference, as I described earlier. The far enemy, or the opposite of equanimity, is restlessness and agitation. When something isn't going the way we want to, we might get really restless and want to change it, or we get really agitated or anxious around it. And equanimity is here to help us with that too. We can notice that experience and move into it as far as we can. And remember, we're not trying to push or strive. We're not trying to get to something here. If things are really difficult for you and causing you distress, then you can always back away. You don't have to take a deep dive. You could just put your big toe in and notice how things are. Now, during our practice, equanimity is going to show up, or the ability to practice equanimity is going to show up for you, I'm sure. It could show up in a physical sensation. It could be an itch, or a leg falls asleep. It could be a thought about the future or the past, and maybe that creates a little agitation in terms of emotions. And we can be with that. We can move into that a little bit. But again, if things get difficult, just back away. As Elisha would say, touch it lightly and back away. So let's begin our practice. Where's my bell? There's the bell. Okay. And so we begin by coming to rest, creating the conditions for peace and ease in the body as much as we are able to. Perhaps invoking a little tranquility in the body, letting it be as soft and at ease as possible, letting go of tightnesses or tensions that might be here. Taking a few moments, perhaps, to investigate how things are in the body, what kind of emotional or energy, tired or restless. It could be anything. And remembering, in keeping with the theme of our practice of equanimity, whatever arises gets equal attention. This is what's here: the joy, the sadness, the ease, the anxiousness, whatever it may be, it can be known. This is what's here. Perhaps the mind is very active. This is not a problem. It's not a mistake. It's not something we're trying to get rid of. If we're having a lot of thoughts, this is noticed. A lot of thoughts are here. Maybe we want these thoughts, maybe we don't. And this is what's here. Can I know it? Can I turn toward it gently and allow it to be known, this busy mind? And as we move forward in our practice, it may be helpful to check back in from time to time with the mind, with the body, noticing the state of things. And if the body becomes restless or agitated, this is okay. If the mind becomes extremely active and we get lost in thought a lot, that's okay. This is what's here. And it's here anyway, so can I just turn toward it and notice it? We can use present moment sensory experiences to connect us to the present moment and also to help us know what it's like to be in the present moment. And these sensory objects would include feeling the body breathing. It could be the sensations of whatever the hands might be touching. It could be sounds taking place in your environment. Perhaps noticing where you feel most comfortable dwelling in the present moment today, in this practice, breath, hands, or sounds. And letting your attention rest in one of these present moment sensory experiences. With the certainty that sooner or later you will become lost in thoughts. And again, this is not a mistake or a failure on your part. It's just the mind doing what it does. And of course, eventually, our awareness is going to notice that the mind has drifted off and we've become lost for a while. In that moment of noticing, we're back. We are in the present moment again. The present moment has never left, it's always here. We leave, and now we've returned. And it could be that noticing the mind has wandered creates self judgment or criticism, a sense of having done something wrong. And if that occurs, that can be known. Judgment is here. Here are the thoughts around that judgment. Here are the physical and emotional sensations around that. And this is the moving into the unpleasant as deeply as we might move into the pleasant. And then noticing what happens to something like that judgment. It loses a lot of its power. So we'll continue now through a period of silence, practicing together. As we continue, when we consciously bring equanimity into our meditation practice, we not only learn about going as deeply into the unpleasant as into the pleasant, we also begin to learn that we can welcome any experience that arises. It's almost a joy that arises when the difficult shows up. Ah, here is a place for practice. Let's see if I can move into this difficulty, even just a little bit. Noticing the sensations, thoughts, emotions that might be here. Noticing how it changes, intensifies, or diminishes in intensity. Maybe it goes away completely or turns into something else. We begin to welcome these difficulties into our practice rather than trying to push them away or ignore them or make them different. We're not trying to detach from them. We're just opening the hand around these experiences, releasing attachment. And so we'll continue again in silence. And as we approach the conclusion of our meditation practice, again, checking in with the body, letting it be tranquil, checking in with the mind, letting it be however it is. We're not going to be able to control that as easily as the body. Checking in with our emotional state, and perhaps even in these last few moments, there's a place for practice here. There's an itch. There's a minor discomfort in the body, whatever it may be, where we can learn about equanimity, moving equally into the unpleasant as we might move into the pleasant. And of course, taking as much time as you need to transition from the practice, and that may include continuing to practice. Maybe you are exploring something difficult and you'd like to investigate it and practice equanimity. But in your daily life, this is where we really want to bring this forward. This is not about being good at this on a cushion. This is about being able to take this into daily life and diminish our suffering. So when you notice that you are suffering, when you notice that there are agitations or whatever it might be, this is an opportunity to turn toward it. As I mentioned, that we can actually start to welcome these things as opportunities for practice, and we can explore it gently as much as we might explore something positive. And in this way, we don't react habitually and automatically so much. There might not be the aversion that happens or the clinging that happens automatically. So if you have any questions or any thoughts about this, please feel free to put them in the chat. Meanwhile, just a reminder that we have I have been leading a Sangha, a meditation group now. Tomorrow we are going into our 4th year together, and we meet Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time now. And if you want information about that, it's a Zoom meeting. Feel free to contact me here at this email address, roger@rogernolan.com, and I will hook you up with the Zoom link. And there's a lot of folks here who are from that group now, and some folks who have come from this group and started coming to my group as well. It's not mutually exclusive, it's all the same stuff. Um, so let's see. Great. If anyone can elaborate on anything that maybe they noticed about equanimity, or if you had any insights about it, or if you have any questions or confusion about equanimity. Remembering again that it's not, oh, cool, everything's all right, nothing bothers me. It's okay if it bothers you. Then we notice that becomes our meditation practice, is to notice the thing that bothers us. And when we do that and give it that attention, it ceases to have a lot of power. Hi, Monica. Good to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. It's nice to be here with you. And Sarah and Peter, have a lovely rest of your Mother's Day in the UK. That's right. It's the vernal equinox tomorrow, and spring has arrived. Arrived. We'll have our Rite of Spring festival. Let's all go listen to some Stravinsky, shall we? A little Rite of Spring. There were, when I was in college back in the day at the University of Kansas, let's take a moment of silence for the University of Kansas, who were eliminated from the NCAA tournament yesterday. Okay. Um, the Stravinsky was very big in the music department there at that time, it's the early 70s. And everybody was listening to Rite of Spring, especially in 1974. Don't ask me why. I don't know what happened in 1974, but people got crazy. And they had buttons. The people in the music department had these buttons that said, Dig Ig. Igor Stravinsky. So it's Dig Ig. Okay. Anyway, every time I think about that, I think about those buttons. Wish I had one. All right. Well, I guess if there's nothing pressing, no questions, no burning desires to share anything, then I guess we can let it go for today. And you can go back to your Sunday with maybe a little bit more understanding of equanimity. And you can notice when non equanimity is present. And as soon as you do, you're practicing equanimity. It's that simple. It's that easy. Well, maybe it's simple, but it's not that easy. Okay. Well, let's leave then. And I will be back on the 3rd Sunday here in this seat, the 3rd Sunday of April. Meanwhile, I'm also available Monday through Friday at the Covidian Sangha, now in its 4th year. All right. Bye, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Let's end the broadcast.